without the middle, the final leap is like going off a damn cliff with no parachute.
Every cocoon season looks like death from the outside.
The messy middle is really where clarity is being formed. You're rewriting your story in the middle. Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I'm Doc Shelley.
And I'm Carla Lewis. Today, we are going to discuss the glory of the middle. So, we're going to step into something we usually, as people, we just kind of rush past, that messy, awkward, uncomfortable middle. And we're building on things that we've covered over the last few episodes about signs and backup plans and moving from A to B and lots of things. And I hope you all go back and re-listen if you haven't already. Or if you have, I hope you all go back and listen to those even again if you need to. But this is about what happens when you've taken this bold leap that we were working up to in those previous episodes. When you've left behind the familiar, but you haven't quite landed yet. So we're talking about a waiting room season, the doorway between who you were and who you're becoming, and that a space that can kind of feel like never ending and exhausting and confusing. But maybe that's because something transformational is happening under the surface. And we want to dive into what it looks like to stay in that space without panic, to why your brain confuses discomfort with danger. And you've heard us talk a lot about how the brain is just working hard to keep us safe. And why the middle isn't actually punishment, it's proof you're in motion. So let's get into this, Doc Shelley.
Where shall we start? You said a whole lot there.
I
Want to
did.
start?
How about we start about the waiting room season? Let's just take a look at when we find ourselves in this place where we have decided we've taken this step forward, we're going through what we called the doorway. We even joked, and maybe should spend some more time in this session talking about don't decorate the waiting room. You are going to spend a little time there, but maybe you can enjoy it and it can be fruitful for you, but it's not a place to stay. And yet so many people do end up just staying in that place. I've decided I'm going to take the step, and I'm afraid to take the one that takes me out of the waiting room and into the next chapter. So what does it look like when someone actually builds a life in their waiting room? I mean, what is it that keeps somebody stuck in that place that they've said, yes, I want to make that move. I want to take that step. I want to make that change. And they get into that, okay, I've done it. I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. And they're in this place now that they're stuck. I mean, like they've built a cozy Airbnb all for themselves and wait for that new to arrive. But it isn't actually the thing that's going to come to you. You're supposed to go to it.
I think what keeps people in the middle, if you will, in the waiting room are those feelings of imposter syndrome, the doubt. Should I really make the final leap? Should I go back to the way things were? All those questions start to filter through the brain, and it it causes people to stay in the pause too long. And I think another factor here is like people celebrate, I've made the decision and I've made the leap. We don't celebrate the in between the decision and the final leap.
And I think
That's really where the work should be celebrated.
and that's where the real work gets done.
Yes.
At some point, we're sitting in this uncomfortable space. Our brain is saying, ooh, you know what we're thinking about right now is dangerous. There's risk and lack of safety associated with this. And so the work we need to do, in part, I think, is helping our brain understand, no, this is okay. We're going to be okay. I mean, we've talked about it before, and you always have some great insights around things like what our limbic, I couldn't come up with the word, the limbic system
Hmm.
versus you also have talked about the executive mind, the executive function. So you've
Hmm.
got this primal thing that's going, and then you have that, and I'm sorry, we have this primal thing that's going, and it's working in a panic kind of a scene. This, danger, Will Robinson, and the executive function is more about the calm, and it's like getting those two together to have a
Yeah.
conversation. This is, it's okay that we're here. It's okay that we've left whatever we left behind,
Hmm.
and we're going to be okay, but we need to work on some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's normalizing the middle. And people rarely talk about the middle.
Okay.
We talk about, ooh, I made this big decision, and we celebrate the final leap into whatever the leap is. Nobody talks about how normal it is to feel all the feelings we feel in the middle. But that's where we're getting real with what it is we want to do, with who we are, who we're becoming in order to make that final leap. Without the middle, the final leap is like going off a damn cliff with no parachute.
Oh, well, we don't want that.
So
No.
we need to spend some time in the middle. We just don't need to stay in the middle. It's kind of like, the saying, don't compare your life to someone else's highlight reel.
Hmm.
The highlight reels are the decision and the look where I'm at now. I'm so successful. The highlight reel doesn't include all the shit in the middle.
That's right.
It doesn't include all the doubt that you have, all the questioning that you have, all the little tiny decisions that you have to make in order to get to where you need to go. So the middle is normal. And if we can name whatever that middle is for ourselves, then we're not stuck. We're not stuck. It's a period of time, it's a transition, it's a whatever you want to call it. Define it something that helps you normalize it and recognize being in the middle is not a failure. It's when you stay there that it becomes problematic.
So here's an analogy that actually works at this moment really well for me. That if we look at this time in the middle as really kind of a sacred pause as transformation sets in. So like a cocoon. So every cocoon season looks like death from the outside. The caterpillar, spins it, they get stuck up in this cocoon, and then the caterpillar's body kind of morphs, it dissolves and morphs into something new and beautiful and different, so different than when it went in. So there's a transformation that takes a little time,
Hmm.
but it needs that time. And I'm just going to carry the cocoon just a little bit further for the butterfly piece of it, that if you help a butterfly out of that cocoon as it's trying to break out, if you help it, it can never fly, because it is the process of it expanding its wings and working those little muscles against the thing that holds it captive that actually gets its wings to be able to do what they're supposed to do. So it's important. It's an important part of this sacred move from where we were to where we're going to be, and the transformation that has to take place.
Hmm. That's a great analogy.
It really works, doesn't it? Because that's for that caterpillar, that cocoon is its waiting room,
Hmm.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
And while I'm not suggesting that we should spin a wall around us in order to go through it, There is a mental, emotional, spiritual rest stop, and we have to honor that.
Hmm.
We can't fear it.
It's a normal part of the process.
Hmm.
Don't make it anything more than it is. And I think a lot of people feel like they lose themselves in the middle because they're kind of stuck in this place of who I was versus who I'm becoming. I'm not quite there yet. So they kind of sometimes feel a little lost in the middle.
And is
And
that
that's
is
where the spinning starts, the looping starts.
right? And so it's about being able to normalize the slow. I mean, we're not behind.
Hmm.
Progress can look like stillness,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that needs to be okay. But if we
Yeah.
go back to what we were talking about in our last episode, where this it's all well and good to be really ambitious. Well, you got to be ambitious in this still as well. It's you need to go after that pause with respect for yourself, recognizing that you're worthy of this pause because of what's going to follow and because you just are. And so, since you're there, yeah, you're worthy and it's okay. And stillness is not a bad thing. There's growth happening. I got
Can you define what you mean by stillness? Because I can see people interpreting this as a pause and stillness, meaning I'm not doing a darn thing and it's just going to happen.
it's because it may not be visible on the outside. The work that's going on doesn't translate into bigger muscles or more speeches or whatever it might be. That progress is happening as you're going through the thinking, the readying of yourself. It may not, nobody may recognize that that's what's going on. They may not know anything's going on. You're the one that does. So the stillness is about being okay in the calm, being okay with quiet, being okay with not a whole lot of frantic energy being spent. The stillness is honoring your very own presence to this newness that you're pursuing, this leap that you are in the middle of taking. So you took the leap, you haven't landed yet, and being able to be still in that in between time. I'm not trying to imply that everybody just sits around. No bumps, no bumps on logs. It's a
Well, no,
mental
I mean
stillness.
the middle is where the transformation's taking place.
Right, right.
That's like there's hard work in the middle.
Yes. So in that stillness, back to the cocoon, there's all kinds of crud going on inside there. The caterpillar's disintegrating. There's this butterfly that's getting formed, but you don't see anything on the outside.
Yeah.
So in stillness, in our thoughts, in our just the peace that we can bring to that transformational process, that it's okay whether anybody's looking or not.
Right. I think if the messy middle is really where clarity is being formed, it's you're rewriting your story in the middle.
Yeah.
So I think the cocoon analogy is good because it's like there's all the stuff happening inside, like you said, but on the outside it just kind of looks like that they must have given up. Oh, they don't think they're worth it. Like all that external noise can start when you're sitting doing the hard work that nobody else is recognizing. It is not a failure to be in that messy middle space.
No,
This is where you are sharpening your courage. Again, you're forming your clarity. You're rewriting what's next. It's
it's
a
where
really powerful step to be in. And we rush through it sometimes. And culturally, we are an impatient people. And so we want that arc of transformation to be like, I made a decision and now I am here versus the wilderness of that messy middle.
this messy middle is where your future self is being forged.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think that stillness, recognizing that it's not about being inactive. It's, it's about letting the quiet work happen and being okay with the fact that it's a part of the journey. It just is.
Hmm. How do we make the middle a sacred space? You talked about a sacred space. So how do we do that?
I think the very first thing that comes to my mind would be honoring that it's a necessary part. If you're going to take a bold step, I don't care how big or little anybody else thinks it is. If you've done a take the leap action, you stepped out with some faith and some hope and into risk. You did so, and you need to honor that. In terms of being, and I don't know that I'm going to address the messiness of it, except to say, where are we coming up with the judgment on the messiness? Is the messiness that, yeah, I'm gonna have to tangle with some things? Well, good. That's fine. You're doing it in silence. You're doing it inside. Maybe you're not being silent about it. I mean, there may be people around you who are also having to deal with this thing that you're going through. But in terms of the sacred nature of it, you it comes from a place of love and respect for yourself, for the source of energy that you are and the energy you need to leverage to go through this. And nobody can give that to you except yourself. And you need to honor that. That comes from a place of love and respect and faith that, yeah, I am worth it. I know I'm worth it. And I'm going through this. So it's not very poetic, and it's not,
It's
that,
not a poetic space.
no, no, it is
And I
kind of
think
just,
I think you asked a question of, why the judgment in calling it a messy middle.
mm-hmm,
And kind of when I think about it, that's just what it is. Like
mm-hmm,
there's no judgment in it. It is messy and it
mm-hmm.
is a pain in the ass sometimes and there is a lot of things that have to happen. And I think it's important to recognize that the middle is not the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the self-trust that you have by not abandoning yourself when things get messy, when things get unclear, when you start questioning, is this the right thing to do? Have that self trust to get you through the messy middle to the transformation.
I love that notion about the self abandonment. I don't. The notion is you're in complete control
Yeah.
of this, and the only person who can let you down is you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not a choice you're going to make easily if already made the choice to take a leap and
Hmm.
to find yourself in the waiting room.
Yeah. I think I would add one more thing to all of what you said about making it a sacred space, and that is thinking about it like your lab, your laboratory, or your training ground. This is where you're going to test some things out, and some things are not going to be right, and some things are going to be glorious, and some things are going to be like, oh, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but I'm going to try it anyway.
Mm.
And so it's a little bit of a laboratory, if you will, for all of the things that you need to experiment with. And all of those things are okay.
Because the whole notion about experimentation is, yep, some of them are not going to work,
Exactly.
but they all teach something that is useful
Yeah,
for the future experiments.
exactly. And I would add too, like every person that you know who is successful, who you admire, who you respect, they have gone through the middle, whether they're telling you about it or not. You might only see their highlight reel. Trust me, every single person who has been successful at anything has had a messy middle. It might be short lived, it might be decades. Everyone has been in the messy middle.
And more than once.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong
For sure.
opportunity to visit the waiting room. The operative in there is to visit,
Yeah.
not to live
Yeah.
there. Let the transformation happen and come out the other side. And if there's more you want to do, you're starting from a new leaping point and you're going to a new waiting room for your next transformation,
Hmm.
or you're dead. The fact is that we are going to go through this our entire lives. It's a part of the journey. So honor it as you're taking that journey. Give yourself that space to visit the waiting room.
Hmm.
And Michelle, if there was going to be one of those great closing comments that I regularly put you on the spot to deliver, since if people haven't already figured it out, this is totally unscripted. What would be the encouragement for somebody who might even fear that whole notion about I know where I am right now, and I know I want to do or be or change or whatever. The fear of the waiting room, the fear of what it's going to take to get from where I am to where I'm going to be, what might be some words of encouragement or even exploration so that one can enter that space or enter that journey, really understanding that, yeah, it may get messy and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. I think what you just said, that the middle is not where you go to lose yourself. It's where you really start to become whomever it is you're trying to become with whatever it is you're trying to do, right? But I think really recognize, especially for the women listeners, there is nothing wrong with you. And think about being in the middle as being in the middle of something right. It's not scary. It's the right place. It's exactly where you're meant to be. And you're in the middle of doing, of becoming. That's not, that doesn't have to be messy. It doesn't have to be a detour. It's a path that you are on. And it's a great opportunity to stay loyal to yourself.
Thank you. I'm Carla Lewis.
Thank you. I'm Doc Shelley. We'll see you next time. The middle is not where you go to lose yourself. It's where you really start to become whomever it is you're trying to become with whatever it is you're trying to do. Really recognize there is nothing wrong with you and think about being in the middle as being in the middle of something right. It's the right place. It's exactly where you're meant to be and you're in the middle of becoming.